dealing with code generated by AI, AI is great. It helps us write code. It makes things more productive. It helps us solve problems pretty quickly, I'd say. But what about the maintainability of code? The code that you're producing, is it easy to read? Are there bugs hidden? For me, I've been writing software for 25 plus years. I work for some companies where the tolerance for bugs is very low in healthcare. There's a delicate balance between getting things done quickly and then getting things done to where it's done right. And so I think vibe coding can get you both. It can kind of get you further ahead with both, but what is the cost? So I've read a couple articles where it talks about the maintainability of code and the fact that AI vibe coding helps us generate more code. It seems like we're getting a lot more code, but developers' familiarity with that code is pretty low. Anyone who's written software for long enough knows that the real cost of software is maintenance. Like 80% of the cost is just maintaining code. I've been writing software for 25 years, but I haven't been vibe coding for 25 years. It hasn't even been around that long. But I'm curious if anyone else has any experience with vibe coding that they'd like to share, just put it in the comments below. My take is that and I hope this is happening, but some of the code that I've written, vibe coding, hasn't gone through code review yet because it's just happening working on a project that is kind of new to market. When I turn it over to someone to review, I'm worried that it might be a little bit much. I mean, I can understand the code is generating and it hasn't been too much, but like I said, it makes things so much faster. You're able to write a lot of code quickly. And I had this one experience where another engineer he was like spending so much time getting his code so perfect, and he was like getting down to like the assembly language where he was trying to make things very efficient, but that was not good because he wasn't able to produce a lot. My take on that is there's a balance, and sometimes you have to ask the question, am I writing the right kind of code? As far as AI is concerned, am I asking the right questions, giving the right prompts? One of the things of software engineering is finding the right frameworks, and I'll give you a small example. I had this one project where it was your typical CRUD operations: create, read, update, delete, a few entities, and I just went with what I was familiar with, and the stack I was using had a REST middle tier, REST service, and so I just went to work going on this code. But it turns out that because I was using a Postgres database in the backend, there was this whole framework called Postgres, and it just based on the tables in there, it can stand up a REST API that does everything for you, and the source of truth is the database, which in a lot of cases it is. Anyway, so I wasn't really asking the right questions at first until I stopped and said, hey, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And like I said, it just kind of stands things up, and you get an instant REST API that does all the CRUD operations. Anyways, put in the comments, any of your comments about vibe coding. But I'm Aaron from Mako-Desk, and I'm gonna hit the waves. Thanks.